Hello everybody, I'm Michael. I was born in May 1983. I've never had a girlfriend in my life. I have talked to some women before. I'll tell you a few of the women I've talked to. Like, there was this one girl in my high school who used to talk slightly to me, and part of my brain thought she was bothering me, but I guess maybe she was talking to me because she couldn't talk to anybody else, or she would talk a little bit, and then I tried to ask her to see me, and then she said she was prudish. And I didn't know what that meant. There was another girl who used to bother me, and that was really counted as bad bothering me. And then I wanted to tell someone about it, but I couldn't because I didn't want to seem like a, a fool. It seemed like something was wrong with me. Like, I just always assumed that like men are supposed to be like evil and women are supposed to always be good. And then the Bill Clinton sex harassment story was in the news, so I got this idea that this girl, the second girl, was gonna make up a sexual harassment story about me, but my mother convinced me that no, that this idea was silly. But then she made up a story about me, and then I was in the office at school for 45 minutes while they were trying to figure out what to do about me, and then my mother talked to people from the school, and then so then the only reason why I even thought that she would even make up a story about me is just because I thought women would just make up stories about me, and the only reason why I got this idea is because the Bill Clinton sexual harassment story was in the news. This was in April of 1998. I went to college, and I was raised Jewish, so I had this problem where until I was 27, I was afraid to talk to non-Jewish women. I realized that there was no God when I was 15, but I was afraid to admit it until I was 26. I remember there was this one girl who had a Jewish star necklace around her, and I asked her if she was Jewish, and I felt stupid about myself just because I always feel like I'm committing some kind of a violation or a sin whenever I talk to women. So this one girl invited me into her room, and she was watching a movie, and I felt stupid about myself, and I might have wanted to talk, although if I had been given the opportunity to talk, I wouldn't have talked enough because I've always had this social anxiety problem. And so I was sitting in her room, and she was watching a movie, and I didn't care to watch the movie, and I left, and I feel guilty about myself for leaving. And then I have actually seen women in person. There are several different women I've seen. I've seen women, I've met at least two women for bowling. I've met women at art museums. I've never met a woman twice. Some they usually can't talk to me after this. I meet them. It's hard to say why. Maybe the amount of communication I need is greater than the amount of communication they're able to provide. Maybe I'm moving too fast. Maybe I assume that anybody who would want to talk to me must be crazy. I want to say a few things about sex. I've always had this idea that you can't have sex outside of marriage, that I was taught that there's no such thing as sex outside of marriage. My parents have prudish, over socially conservative religious ideas, and nobody else who talks about not being able to meet women talks about marriage. To me, I feel like I want a girl who's gonna really, really like me, and then sex would be like just a behavior that we would have to do to show that she likes me. So it's not good enough to just think a girl likes me. She has to show she likes me. I mean, the relationship can't be imaginary. certainly she's got to meet some of my needs. Like, people have needs to talk to other people, so certainly a woman could talk to me. She could spend a little bit of time around me. She could see me in person. Could talk to another man. I could see another man in person, although I don't happen to be attracted to other men. No one's not against seeing other men. It's just that I was born a typical heterosexual man. And the reason why I'm a typical heterosexual man is just because of pure genetic accident. It's not like I chose to be this way. Certainly, all men and all women do have sexual needs. I want to mention my circumcision because also nobody else who talks about not being able to meet women talks about circumcision. So there is a small percentage of men, including myself, who realize what they're missing due to circumcision. So remember when I was a kid or like younger, and when I first thought I knew what sex was, I had this impression that everybody thought that sex is like the greatest thing ever. I couldn't understand it. I mean, I couldn't intuitively understand how could sex be so great. I thought it was like just something like silly, like it didn't make any sense to me. And my guess is that the reason I couldn't understand why sex should be that great is because I don't have fine touch nerve sensation in my body parts. Like most people are almost like me, I think. I think most circumcised men are like me. Maybe they got less or more circumcised than I do. I feel like I did get circumcised very tightly, and most people don't realize what they're missing, but I did. So obviously, well, it's not the case that I would want to have sex just for the sake of deriving some kind of sensation, because I know that I'm not really gonna feel that much. So obviously, I'm not having sex just to derive some kind of special sensation. If I would, I don't even know why I should want to have sex, but for some reason, it never occurred to me to choose not to. Mike, I would only want to have sex so that a girl can show that she likes me enough. Now, what about marriage? If, in theory, if I was gonna meet a girl, and if she was gonna really like me, and she wanted, let's suppose she wanted to marry me. Now, if we can't have sex outside of marriage, then that means that if she hasn't had sex enough frequently enough, then she hasn't. Then I'm gonna feel like she didn't show that she likes me. I'm gonna feel bad. I'm gonna feel like she's not showing that she likes me. And why would I want to marry a woman who hasn't shown that she likes me? Well, I would like resent her. I wouldn't like her. So that's why I think marriage doesn't even have anything to do with liking another person. It's some kind of like a contract. And when you look at marriage contracts, I'm sure that they don't say you have to have sex every a certain amount of times. They don't say they have to have sex every so often. They don't even say you have to live with the other person. They don't tell you anything. It's like a legal contract that doesn't even say that much. All it says is that you're supposed to be associated with the person. So my parents have over prudish conservative attitudes, and they think being with a woman is the same thing as being married to the person. I mean, that to them, there's no such thing as doing much with a woman unless you're married to the person. So certainly it's not the case that I would choose not to have sex. It's just that obviously this discussion isn't mainly about sex. Like, certainly I don't want to meet a girl just briefly, just to hook up for sex and then like never see her again, because like, given the idea that I feel like I won't like feel anything, that's why not my attitudes are like weird compared to most men. I'm not gonna say that I would never like see someone like just to have sex, but then right after I would see the woman would leave, then I'll just like revert back to feeling really shitty about myself because I can't find a girlfriend. So obviously I want a girl who's gonna really really like me, and hopefully that she'll never just abandon me or leave me. And then sex would be just a behavior that we have to do, like to show, so that she can show that she likes me, but it's not like the main thing. The main thing is like her liking me.